No mountain, no valley, no gate.
Hi, my name is Ken. I'm a retired engineer, and I enjoy volunteering at Loaves and Fishes.
From your love.
Hi, my name is Kentina, and I've been following Christ for 26 years.
Sickness, no secret, no chain is strong enough to keep us from your love.
Hi, I'm Julia Elowitz, and I've been worshiping here at Sugarland Baptist for a couple of years now, and I'd like to share a little bit of my story with you. I was born into a Messianic household. My father was born and raised Jewish, and he was raised in New York City, and so he has a full background of that culture and lifestyle. But when he was about 19 years old, he was really seeking for answers, for truth, and was on a quest for what life meant. And went on a journey, literally started hitchhiking across the country. And he was in Oregon, and the people that picked him up were missionaries. And they started sharing the gospel with him and telling him about how his heritage was so blessed because the Messiah came through his lineage. And so they just started sharing the gospel with him every week and kept in touch with him for about a year. And eventually he came to know the Lord, and a passion in his heart was birthed for his people to also come to that experience. And so he met my mom at a Bible study in New York, and my mom comes from a different background. She's actually Black and Native American, but she always had a love for God's people as well. So God completely united them and gave them just the vision for an outreach to his people. When they moved to Texas, they started eventually a congregation, a Messianic congregation called Beth Yeshua, and it's an outreach to the Jewish community, and it's basically worship set up in a Jewish cultural environment for those who desire to worship in that way. And the congregation's been going for about 20 plus years. I was raised going to all of the high holy days, the feast days. I was bat mitzvahed when I was 13 years old, and just really have that ingrained in me about the Jewishness of the scriptures in both the Old and the New Covenant. So that's the background that I come from. And it's been a blessing. It really has been. My father, he did pass away in 2005, and it was a very difficult season in not only my family's lives, but in our congregation, just adjusting and trying to figure out where do we go from here. But God always has a plan, and his best friend and ministry partner, his name is Jim Pratt, actually just took the reins and kept the congregation going, and just the vision continues. The outreach to God's people and to all people continues, and so that's been our experience at Beth Yeshua. My mom leads worship there. I assist her in that, and we continue that every week.
No matter where I am, healing is in your hand.
Personally, I came to know the Lord when I was 5 years old, and lived in a Christian household and in a believing household, and that always had an impact on my life. But to be honest, I didn't become serious about the Lord until I was 15 years old. I had just come back from a youth convention that I heard these powerful, amazing testimonies, and they were just so convicting and so life-impacting that it completely changed my life. I remember going home after one of those evenings and just crying out to the Lord and saying, God, my life is yours. Whatever you want to do with me, use me for your glory, and I'm your vessel. And so he just began to put a heart of worship on the inside of me. I come from a musical background. My mom and all of her sisters are very musically gifted, and so I'd always been raised around music. But at that particular point in my life, I just wanted it all to be used for worship. And so I started writing worship songs and just singing love songs to the Lord, and that became my obsession, really. I actually learned how to worship by watching my father and my mom as well. Their lifestyle, their love for God, their passion. There's one particular song that my father loves. It's an old hymn called "Cleanse Me," and I've sung my own arrangement of it a couple of times here at the church. But one verse in particular I think sums up what worship is to me, and it says, "Lord, take my life, make it fully thine. Fill my poor heart with thy great love divine. Take all my will, my passion, self, and pride. I now surrender, Lord, in me abide." That's a life of worship. That's what worship is to me. It's about surrender. It's about passion. It's about letting God have his way with us. And that's my desire. So that's what I'm doing with my life right now. I'm blessed to be a part of this congregation. It's had a huge impact on my life, and it's really an honor just to serve in worship here with Scott and Braxton and the choir and just this whole congregation. They've been really receptive to me, and the feelings are mutual. I love worshiping here. And so God also opens up other doors to worship at different places, different congregations, and I just kind of go where he leads me. There's no set plan. It's just whatever he wants. As he leads me, I want to follow in obedience. Passover Seder is the order and the telling of the story of the book of Exodus and God setting his people free through Moses. And so it's going to be exciting participating in that this year here. What it actually means to me is salvation. It's the sacrificial lamb that shed his blood, a spotless sacrificial lamb, blameless, that shed its blood so that it could provide a way of covering and escape for people that were stuck in a life of slavery and bondage. And in the same way, Jesus, Yeshua, is that sacrificial lamb. He's the innocent life that was shed. His blood is our covering, and it provides a way of escape from a life of sin and slavery. And so it's the gospel in a nutshell. Passover is salvation. We'll be celebrating Passover this year at Sugarland Baptist at 6:30, March the 28th. And I just encourage you all to come, bring a friend, and just experience this worship through the Seder meal.